Hello and welcome to the In the Pen podcast, a podcast about relievers, part of the Pitcher List Podcast Network. My name is Jake Crumpler, and as always, I'm joined by Pitcher List's bullpen expert, Rick. How's it going?
It's going. How's everything? Another crazy week of relievers, I guess, and just we're back at it.
Right. Yeah. Things are going well over here. I did some starting pitching work over the weekend. I don't know if everybody that listens to us is also tapped into the starting pitching analysis over at Pitcher List, but I did write a roundup, and that was pretty exciting.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not tapped into the starting pitcher analysis, either with Jake or Nick, then you're missing out. I'm sure everyone knows Nick if you're listening to this podcast, but yeah, Jake's doing some roundup work on the weekends now, and that's definitely worth a read as well.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm excited to enter this new chapter of Pitcher List and be the one to be ushering it in. But I've put in a lot of work in the starting pitching realm, so I'm excited to see where that goes. But that doesn't mean I've stepped back in my coverage of relievers at all. And Rick is obviously locked the heck in on relief pitchers, daily articles, weekly articles, but we've also got a weekly podcast where we talk about relievers. And we usually start out by talking about the news and notes from the past week. And then we talk about the changes on Rick's closer ranks, looking at the guys rising and falling over there. And then we'll have a main topic. And this week, our main topic is focusing on the swinging strike and CSW leaderboard. So we're looking at relievers that have the best swing and miss stuff. These are usually some of the most dominant relievers. And that seems to be the case. When you look at these leaderboards, it's just all the top names. So we'll cover those guys a little bit, but we'll mostly focus on the surprise names, the names that we haven't really touched on a lot this year. And that's going to be hard because Rick and I have no problem talking about every single reliever. We could do a podcast on one bullpen.
We'll limit it to, like, I don't know, 10 names, 12 names, hopefully. And yeah, we'll keep it short.
All right. Let's no promises though. That's keeping it short has never been something we've been good at. So let's start off with the news and notes, beginning with the transactions, as the Pirates optioned Isaac Matson to the minors and recalled Wilber Dotel in a corresponding move. Not super fantasy relevant, but Matson was actually getting a decent amount of holds for the Pirates. So with him out of the way, that does lock some other guys into more high leverage roles, like Yohan Ramirez, my guy Justin Lawrence, and even somebody like Evan Sisk, who's currently rising pretty quickly in that bullpen.
Yeah, Sisk's pretty nasty. I mean, they're really good from the left side with Sisk, Montgomery, and Soto. It's the right side that's an issue. Like last year, I mean, Matson and Santana were your 8th and 9th inning guys there, second half of last season, and now Matson's in AAA. Santana's probably close to being DFA'd. Matson, doesn't throw hard, doesn't really have he doesn't even have a off-speed pitch. He just has like a good fastball, a fastball of good shape. He just, was winning with a fastball that he located at the top of the zone with good shape. But I think Dotel at least gives them someone with who throws hard. Dotel is not that great, but he throws hard, and they don't really have, especially from the right side. I mean, they have Montgomery from the left side, Soto from the left side, but Dotel gives them a righty with some velo. Because like a lot of their, Lawrence isn't throwing, 97 plus. The Yohan Ramirez is like 96, 97. So Dotel gives them a little bit of a flamethrower from the right side, but.
Maybe Brandon Bednar, he throws hard.
Yeah, Bednar's another one that between Bednar and Dotel, I like Bednar better. But I think one of them, Dotel at least can give them some length too. But I was actually going to ask you, now that you're more involved with starting pitcher, like when Jared Jones comes back, what happens in that rotation? Does Mazinski come back into the bullpen? Or do they put Bubba Chandler had a really good start the other day, but is he? Chandler would be fun in the bullpen. I don't know if that's what they do, but obviously, like Carmen Mazinski was awesome out of the bullpen last year too. So if he comes back into the bullpen, I'll be happy about that as well.
Yeah, I think it definitely depends really heavily on how Chandler performs in his next couple of starts. But Mazinski seems like the odd man out, and considering they've been using him in like a bulk relief role, I don't think it would be too weird to sort of send Wilber Dotel back to the minors and have Mazinski just fill that bulk relief role. He's been solid, and I think a lot of people have liked him in deeper leagues, but he's just so splitter reliant. I don't really see him as a good starter for the long term, but we'll see. He makes the most sense to exit the rotation, just given the prospect pedigree of a guy like Bubba Chandler. So when Jared Jones returns, I would probably put my money on Majinski heading to the bullpen. So next we've got Clayton Beeter, who was activated from the 15-day IL after missing a month with forearm soreness. PJ Poulin was optioned to the minors and then subsequently recalled from the minors when Jake Irvin hit the IL. But Clayton Beeter was the top closing option for the Nationals prior to his injury. He has not had a save opportunity since returning, but I think he will mix into a closer committee with the likes of Gus Farland and Richard Lovelady. We've also seen guys like the aforementioned Poulin and even Orlando Ribalta record saves.
Mitchell Parker tonight as well. So it's
right.
I mean, we're entering Twins territory, I think, with this Nationals bullpen. Where
that's a bad thing.
The A's are heading back that way too. I think that those three teams are just like, it's hard to predict. Beeter, since he came back, hasn't looked great, hasn't looked terrible, but like the stuff's down, the velo's still down, command's still not ideal. He and Gus Varlin are like kind of interchangeable at this point, and it's not necessarily a good thing. And then Lovelady is okay, but he's got a whip in like the 1.55 territory or something like that. So I don't know, probably a bullpen to avoid. But I guess like Lovelady just being the lefty there, where Parker's a lefty, but he'll go multiple innings. And Poulin just came back up, and like he's almost always getting like three Fs on those player cards every time he pitches.
His strikeout to walk is dangerously close to negative.
He's terrible. But yeah, I maybe Lovelady is the answer there, which is weird. But the trend I've noticed with them is they probably more than I said this in the RP roundup. I don't know if it's true. I probably should have looked it up, but like I don't think any other team they'll use 2 or 3 relievers in the 9th inning to get a save. Like they'll give like if Lovelady doesn't get the 3 batters out, they'll go to the next guy. Like they don't care. They'll mix and match in the 9th inning alone, like let alone day to day, like game to game, inside the game. They'll use multiple relievers in the 9th. So just really hard to predict who's going to get a save there.
Yeah, probably not worth speculating on in the majority of leagues. Next, we have a couple of promotions as Alimber Santa was selected from the minors. That's a funny name to me. It's like immediately comes to mind just a skinny Santa Claus. Right. So it's a funny name. But
typing Santa, just typing Santa today was like weird. Like just
because you want to write Santana.
Yeah, right. It's not a normal name to type in a baseball article. Yeah.
Right. And even saying it, I keep having to actively think about saying Santa when I say it. But Alimber Santa, selected from the minors. He's a 23-year-old right-handed reliever. Last year between AA and AAA, 2.31 ERA, 1.21 whip, 28% strikeout rate, 13% walk rate. But he's been much better this year. Not that last year was bad, but this year at AAA, Alimber Santa, 1.42 ERA, 0.89 whip, a near 32% strikeout rate, and a sub 10% walk rate. That's pretty great. His breakers actually grade out better than his four-seam fastball, which is good for a reliever. But his fastball sits 95. It's got terrible shape, but I think that's a classification issue. I think he's got a four-seamer and a sinker because he's got one that breaks a lot more horizontally.
Yeah, and naturally, the way his arm angle is, it's definitely more naturally a sinker or two-seamer from him. So I think that helps. That hurts the grade, but either way, it's not a great, even if it's a sinker, it's not a great fastball. But yeah, that the sweeper is really, really good.
Yeah, sweeper and a slider from Santa. And he pitched the final 2 innings of the Astros no-hitter in his debut, and he became the second player ever, but the first player since Bumpus Jones to pitch in a no-hitter in his debut. It's just some incredible names. When I got that notification from at bat, I was like, oh, we got Alimber Santa and Bumpus Jones in the same context.
Have you seen Bumpus Jones' baseball reference page? I saw this trending on Twitter.
Yeah, actually I did right after I
threw the no-hitter. That was the only game he pitched in like 1892. And then he came back like the next 2 years and had an ERA like, I don't know, 40 or something. It was like just like terrible after that no-hitter. The one game he pitched in 1892. It's a very interesting.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what happened there, Bumpus, but yeah, he had that one good start.
Yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, Alimber Santa added to this bullpen. Do you think he has any potential to impact it at all?
I mean, there maybe. I think I don't know if we actually mentioned this, but Nate Pearson came off the IL, looked really good
Right.
for them. He picked up
Last
a
week.
save. Yeah. I think, again, like this team is looking for right-handed bullpen help similar to like the Pirates. It's a lot of good lefties, but the right-handed side, I think right now, yeah, Santa's got an opportunity to kind of. I think you have De Los Santos is solid. Pearson looks good. I mean, I don't know what you do with Brian Abreu, but like it's not happening. So I think Santa right now looks better than Brian Abreu. He's kind of like a little bit better version of Abreu at this point. So I think there's a chance Santa can kick hang around, but he's got options. I don't think Abreu does, or if he does, I don't know if they would do that to him. But obviously, he's not something's still not right with Brian Abreu. So. Yeah, I think there's a chance Santa. I mean, we'll see Hader back next week. That could shake some things up. But of the right-handed bullpen options the Astros have tried, I think Santa's right up there with the most of the options that they've looked at. Logan Van Way, Jaden Murray, AJ Blubaugh. Like I think Santa can outpitch them.
All right, let's go to the Red Sox, who also had their own promotion, but it's a much older promotion as Tyron Guerrero was selected from the minors. He's a 35-year-old righty. He hasn't pitched in MLB since 2019, spending some time in the minors and in Japan, but he's been electric this year at AAA. 0.92 ERA, 0.97 whip, 29% strikeout rate, and an 8% walk rate. He throws a 98-mile-per-hour sinker and a pretty unwieldy slider and changeup. Is there any potential for Tyron Guerrero in the Red Sox?
Maybe. I mean, there's definitely depth behind the big three there of Whitlock, Slaten, and Chapman. I don't know. It hasn't looked that appealing in his first couple outings. But yeah, obviously, if he throws 98 and can mix in a slider and changeup, there's some potential there. So. We'll see. This bullpen's just searching for answers behind those top three guys, and yeah, I'm not so sure Guerrero's a better answer than Zach Kelly, but I get giving him a chance. He's looking good in AAA and throws hard. It makes sense.
All right. We had basically like every left-handed reliever on the injured list return this past week. And we'll stick in the Boston bullpen and start with that one. Danny Colulombe was activated from the 15th day IL after missing 3 weeks with cervical spasms. Tyler Samaniego was optioned to the minors in a corresponding move. Do you think Colulombe can get back to being the top lefty in the Red Sox bullpen, or is he behind Giovanni Moran for eternity?
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't look good. He came back and like his stuff's down like 4 miles per hour now. He's throwing like 85, 86. I think he's about done. I think he's at the end of his career. I don't know how much longer the Red Sox are going to give him because Samaniego looked pretty good. I mean, his ERA, his ratios were definitely better than his actual performance, but I think he's still a better option than Colulombe. And yeah, Moran's looked really good the last like month or so. Finally kind of getting him some outside of the game he started the other day, which frustrates me when like he was pitching so well and then they had him start a game and he didn't do so. It's just keep him in the bullpen. He's doing well and what that role he's got. So Moran's changeups is so nasty from the left side. So I want to see more Moran than Colulombe moving forward. But yeah, I don't know what the Red Sox plans are at this point. It's been not been the funnest season as a most fun season as a Red Sox fan.
All over the place.
Yeah.
We'll go from the Red Sox to the Reds and discuss Caleb Ferguson, who was activated from the 15-day IL. He's missed the entire season thus far with an oblique strain, and he'll be added to the roster along with Zach Maxwell, who was recalled from the minors, and the corresponding guys going to the minors will be Connor Phillips and Jose Franco as they were optioned in corresponding moves. But Zach Maxwell's back. What do they call him? Big Sugar or something? And then Caleb Ferguson, one of the better relief free agent options this past offseason. He signed with the Reds and will make his debut for the team.
Yeah, I mean, Ferguson stepping right into a good opportunity, I guess, with no uh really no one taking hold of the closer role or even any role in that bullpen. I feel like everything's wide open. Um, so I would say Ferguson, even as a lefty, probably could find his way into the saves mix sooner rather than later. Tony Santillan got another chance this weekend. It did not work out, which is not unexpected. But yeah, I think Maxwell's been up and down. He has not shown good command yet, but yeah, if that command ever sticks, I think there's potential there. So they're just throwing darts, throwing things against the wall, hoping something sticks in Cincinnati until Pagan comes back. I think that's their hope and a prayer is one of these two can factor in, hopefully.
Right. Yeah. And they haven't really figured anything out. And I think it's funny. I was looking at the updates for Emilio Pagan, and apparently he's throwing from his knees during his
Yeah.
rehab in order to avoid putting stress on his strained hamstring. And just the image of Emilio Pagan on two knees, just throwing fastballs is funny.
Yeah, I mean it's something. At least we're starting the rehab progress. So
Got to keep that arm strength up.
yeah, it's actually not an uncommon thing, but it is funny just the picture of it, especially for a
Mhm.
major leaguer. But
Right.
yeah, I mean he's at like week 4, 3 now, so he might be back in 2 weeks. I think that's still best case, but I don't know. We'll see. Santillan's pitching the 9th right now, but they're up 5, so it's not really a safe situation.
Yeah,
But
really too bad that Graham Ashcraft couldn't have claimed that role while Pagan was gone. So
yeah.
unfortunate, but we'll move over to the Orioles, who activated Grant Wolfram from the 15-day IL. He missed a couple weeks with a back strain, and Dietrich Enns was designated for assignment in a corresponding move. So Wolfram should be the top left-handed option. I know the Orioles have been relying on Keegan Aiken a lot, but he's got a 12.66 ERA, and Wolfram was getting a lot more holds than Aiken prior to that. So I'd expect Wolfram to jump him on the roster resource ladder pretty soon.
Yeah, I mean Wolfram's definitely the guy there. And yeah, we were wondering, I've been wondering like who's gonna get DFA between Ends and Aiken. And I think, yeah, both of them haven't pitched very well, but I think you want to give Aiken a little bit longer of a chance, a little bit longer of a leash there. So at least he gets to stick around for a little bit. But Wolfram should go right back into, his ratios are a little bit jacked up, but that's really bad BABIP luck, and like the stuff and the swing and miss, numbers make him, very interesting in deeper holds leagues.
Right, right. All right. Next, AJ Minter was activated from the 60-day IL. He's missed all of the season and I think most of last season as well, with a lat strain that I think turned into surgery. I think he tore his whole lat. So
Yeah.
that was pretty unfortunate. But Minter is back. We've been waiting for that for a while. And so have the Mets, as their bullpen is not in the best position right now. But with Minter there, I don't think he immediately jumps into like the top high leverage spot, especially with Luke Weaver looking pretty solid and Brooks Raley's having a great year. But I wouldn't be surprised if Minter starts getting holds pretty soon.
Yeah, I think, between him and Huascar Brazaban for that like third setup guy role, should be Minter. Minter should be able to overtake Brazaban there, or maybe it's probably more matchup based with Minter being left-handed, Brazaban being right-handed. But I think now that bullpen's finally at full strength. They at least have a pretty deep 1 through 5 set options there. So and even Tobias Myers has been pitching well. Again, his role keeps changing, so it's hard to predict like what if he were to be a 1 innings like guy, that would be he just looked great in that role. But either way, I think for the Mets, the bullpen shouldn't be their problem. It's other things. So yeah, I'm excited to see Minter because it's been over a year now since he last pitched. But yeah, I'm not really sure. I had a really hard time trying to rank him because it's been so long, and I don't know where he's going to slot into that bullpen. But if he looks good this week, he looks like his normal self. He'll skyrocket up the rankings pretty quickly.
That would be great. Another bullpen that has gotten back to full strength is the Mariners bullpen, as Gabe Speier was activated from the 15-day IL after missing 3 weeks with shoulder inflammation, and Matt Brash was activated from the IL after missing a few weeks with a lat strain. So the top 2 arms, or top 2 to 3 arms in that bullpen behind Andrez Munoz, are back, and the Mariners sort of survived without him. I mean, they haven't been incredible this year. I think they are 26 and 29, but we were talking before the pod how bad the American League has been this year, or just about how mid it's been. So the Mariners are now back to full strength in their bullpen with Brash, Ferrer, Bizzardo, and Speier all setting up for Andrez Munoz.
Yeah, it's about time, because I've been seeing a lot of Nick Davila lately, and like Alex Hoppy. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but it's, there's not a lot of depth in that bullpen when they are down guys. So yeah, it's good to see Speier and Brash back, and Brash looked good his first outing back, or first couple outings back. The Velo looks good. Stuff's looking good. So yeah, hopefully Speier looks just as good. And yeah, Ferrer needs a bit of a break, because he's been worked. He's actually been pitching. He's thrown a couple games like 3 days in a row, and that third day in a row, his velo is always up, like, from the other two, which is so weird to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
Is something
I don't know how to explain that.
I don't know either, but it's maybe because they have been save chances, so maybe he gets a little extra juice, that save chance energy. But yeah, I still, he probably needs a little bit of a rest here, as he's been worked pretty heavily. So
Yeah.
good to have Speier back.
Save chance energy. I like that. Somebody who has a lot of save chance energy is Craig Kimbrell, and he was designated for assignment by the Mets, but he was signed by the Rays, which is always intriguing anytime a pitcher goes to the Rays. But Craig Kimbrell going to the Rays, I know he's been throwing a lot of sweepers since this whole season, after being a 4-seamer knuckle curve guy throughout his career. So that's pretty interesting. But the Rays bullpen has dealt with so many injuries this year that I guess the Kimbrell signing makes a little bit of sense there. I'm excited to see what they can do with him.
Yeah, he pitched tonight, which is surprising, because I'm pretty sure he signed like 6 hours ago. But yeah, I mean, that's a really good fit for player and team. They could definitely use bullpen help there, even like at full strength. That's not including Edwin Uceta, because I'm not sure what Uceta's deal is, but even with like Kelly, Sulcer, whoever, I mean, they don't really have that lockdown. They don't really have much depth or setup options or experience in the 8th, 9th innings. So at least Kimbrell gives them that. And like, the ERA wasn't great in New York, but the stuff still looks pretty good. His fastball's playing up, the curveball is getting some swing and miss. So it's a smart move by the Rays. I'm not surprised that he latched on somewhere this quickly. But yeah, Rays are always going to make these savvy moves, and we'll see if it works out for him.
All right, that will wrap up the transactions. Before we talk about some of the past week's injuries, we're going to take a quick break here on In the Pen. And we're back. Jake Crumpler here with Rick Graham on In the Pen, discussing relief pitchers. Let's talk about some of the injuries from the past week. The Rockies placed their closer, Victor Vodnik, on the 15-day IL with ulnar nerve inflammation, and selected the contract of Keegan Thompson in a corresponding move. It looked like Juan Mejia might take over the closer role, but he sort of struggled this past week. And I really think the best opportunity in that bullpen, if you're going to take the chances, Antonio Senzatella. Probably won't be on the team for more than a couple more months, but I think Senzatella is the only guy you can really trust in there, and he should get at least a couple of save opportunities if you're really desperate.
Yeah, I still feel like Senzatella is a bit of a ticking time bomb, but he has definitely looked better. Just not sure how long it's going to last with the swing, or the lack of swing and miss, I guess, from him, and pitching in Coors. But yeah, Vodnik was definitely not the answer. Mejia got a save chance, and then has looked bad since then. So yeah, again, just if you can, just stay away from Colorado relievers. If you must, then yeah, Senzatella is the guy for now. But just it's a very clear Vargas rule, where if things fall off the rails, just jump ship as quick as possible.
That's right.
Yeah.
Next, we have the Chicago White Sox, who placed Jordan Hicks on the 15-day IL with a lat strain. Jordan Leisure was recalled from the minors in a corresponding move. So cool to see them replace a Jordan with a Jordan and get Leisure back in the majors. But I don't think this is going to have a huge effect on the save and hold situation on the south side of Chicago.
No, I think this is now, I think they have a pretty good trio, or I don't know if it's good, but they have their trio of, Grant Taylor and Sir Anthony Dominguez and
Brian Hudson.
Brian Hudson. Yeah. And Sean Newcomb probably mixes in there too, if you want to call it a
Sure.
quad.
Quartet.
Quartets, yes. And even like now it's like Leisure versus like Tyler Davis might be better than Jordan Leisure at this point. That's the kind of, that's Leisure has to work his way back up through the rest of that bullpen. So yeah, it's, if things turn around for him, if he starts having some consistent command and the stuff's showing up every night, then he becomes interesting again. But yeah, we just monitor for now and go from there.
The Rangers placed Cole Winn on the 15-day IL with arm fatigue. He has not really lived up to expectations, even though he's had better whiff numbers. The strikeouts really haven't corresponded with that, and neither has the ERA, as it's over 5.5 right now. So Cole Winn hasn't been great this year, and there was a time when we were considering him as the potential closer for the Rangers. That's no longer the case. He'll head to the IL, and Gavin Collier was recalled from the minors in a corresponding move. So cool to see him back. He was displaying some of the best stuff in baseball during his first cup of coffee. So that's exciting, but I don't think we're going to see a big change in the high leverage situations in Texas.
Yeah, I mean, I think Winn, even with the ratios being where they were, was still like someone with some sort of, interesting stuff or pitch mix that, behind Jacob Latz, now it's Junis and Chris Martin and, I Collier is very interesting. I just don't know if he can like realistically work his way into a setup role with the veterans there. So yeah, the bullpen's kind of a mess behind Latz, and it's making Latz, well, that's not the only thing, but trying to get Latz some save chances has been hard to find, unfortunately. So we'll hopefully, someone can get the ball to them in the ninth, or to Latz in the ninth, so he can get going again. It looks like he's going to get a save chance tonight, so that's good.
All right.
But yeah, I would like Collier a lot. I hope he sticks around even when this bullpen gets healthy. Like, does Chris Martin still have to be on this roster? Can we move on from that? It's not working for him or the team or anyone at this point.
Right. Yeah, I think a lot of people don't really consider the aspect of a pitcher needing the rest of their bullpen to set them up for the saves. It really can affect the amount of save opportunities you get if the rest of your bullpen is good or bad. So right now the Rangers don't have the best bullpen, and I think that's eating into Jacob Latz's save opportunities. Another bullpen. Yeah. Another bullpen that has struggled this year is the Tigers bullpen, and they sent a couple guys to the IL. Burch Smith with shoulder inflammation and Brant Herter with lumbar spine inflammation. They recalled Brendan Hanafy and Ricky Vanasco from the minors. I don't think we're going to see a lot of changes in the high leverage situations here, but I mean, they could use a change because the Tigers bullpen is not doing great.
Yeah, I mean, Burch Smith was kind of working his way into. I mean, he was, but when Vest was out, it was like Finnegan and Burch Smith as the setup guys. Tyler Holton's been struggling. Finnegan's fallen off the face of the planet. Vest tonight, I thought Vest was looking really good when he came back, and then tonight was a disaster. So yeah, I don't know what they do. Even like Jansen had a terrible outing the other day. I don't know what the answers are in Detroit. Such a weird. Usually, even when they don't have the best bullpen arms, they like get the most out of their guys, and they haven't been able to do that either. So. Hanafy and Vanasco aren't the answers. Drew Anderson's look good. I like him more out of the bullpen than as a starter. Maybe that's someone that's a start there for them. But yeah, we'll see. I hope Smith's able to make it back relatively soon, because he's not terrible. I know he's like a kind of journeyman veteran guy, but his stuff's not that bad.
All right. Our last IL placement was Erik Sabrowski, who hit the 15-day IL with elbow inflammation. That's a big blow to fantasy managers and to the Guardians, as Sabrowski was maybe the top setup option. He struck out 47% of the batters he's faced this year with an MLB leading 17 holds. He's been bonkers. So to see him hit the IL with an elbow injury is very concerning and also disappointing. But Cody Hoyer was recalled from the minors in the corresponding move. We also saw Will Dion be selected from the minors. He's a lefty starter who's transitioned to the bullpen, and he struck out 34% of the batters he's faced with a near 30% strikeout minus walk rate at AAA. So some potential there from the left side with Will Dion. But with Sabrowski out, who's the top setup man in Cleveland, and how do you expect the left-handed options to pan out?
Yeah, I mean, from the left side, it's probably still. I mean, Tim Herron's going to have a bigger role. What they do, he's probably more of a lefty specialist. So as far as the 7th and 8th inning goes, it's in Gaddis is still going to be there, and I think Colin Holderman's got to be one of the other guys the way he's been pitching. And so yeah, Holderman's been their best arm outside of Cade Smith the past month. But Gaddis has looked better recently. I think starting to throw a changeup more often, which wasn't really expecting, but it's working. So let's see how long that works for him. But like, Sean Armstrong hasn't, even when he's been healthy, hasn't really been exciting. Matt Fest is okay. It's not a ton of options there. And yeah, no, Dion pitched tonight. He threw 3 innings, so I guess he's still kind of stretched out a little bit.
Little swing man.
Yeah, I mean, that gives them. They don't have. That's their second lefty now with Sabrowski out. So yeah, at least gives them another left-handed option. So that's, Herron doesn't have the best stuff, but he does have solid numbers on the year. He's a good number 2 lefty, not the guy you want as the 7th or 8th inning lefty.
Right. It's going to be difficult to replace Sabrowski because of how good he's been this year. I mean, I don't think there's any setup man you could find on another team that's going to be able to replace Sabrowski's production. So that's disappointing. All right, let's close things out with a couple of news from the past week. Josh Hader, obviously, we got to have our weekly update. He's out with biceps tendonitis, and he's in line to return during the first week of June, which is next week. So just a couple more rehab outings, and we'll get Josh Hader back in Houston. I think, if there's somebody out on the wire that you want to go get and you're looking for somebody to drop, I think you can drop Brian King now. I mean, you're going to miss out on maybe 1 save, maybe 2 saves in this next week before Hader returns. And that's not even guaranteed considering the other guys in that bullpen and just Brian King's abilities. So I'm excited for Hader to return. That should work out pretty well for the Astros. They got to be very happy to see him return.
Yeah, it gives them some sort of juice, I guess, to they've had a lot of injuries, but this is a nice return finally of someone significant to a position of need, because that bullpen has been all over the place. So yeah, he's looked good in his rehab outings. I think, it's his first week of June, maybe even this weekend. I don't know when he's next scheduled to pitch, but yeah, he should be back by the time we talk next week.
All right, that's exciting. Lastly, AJ Puk began his rehab assignment last weekend. He's recovering from Tommy John surgery. Puk will need 7 to 8 rehab outings before he's activated from the IL. So I'm thinking, maybe 2 appearances per week. He's probably back in a month, the end of June.
End of June sounds right. Yeah, end of June, maybe if everything goes well, end of June. I think that was always the original realistic timetable too. So, yeah, that looks. Sounds good. His velo's down, but that's to be expected in his first outing. But something to monitor, as he gets deeper through this rehab stint. Hopefully, in 2 weeks from now, we will start seeing him, 95 miles per hour sitting there comfortably. But yeah, something to keep an eye on during his rehab.
Yeah, the D-backs are relying heavily on Brandon Garcia, which has gone pretty well thus far. I mean, he's he's pretty solid, but they could use another lefty there with Andrew Salfrank out for the year as well. I think Buck will quickly climb that holds ladder in Arizona. All right, that will do it for the news and notes from the past week. Now we can head into our 3 up, 3 down section, where we talk about the closers rising and falling on Rick's weekly closer ranks, which you can find over on pitcherlist.com. Let's start with the risers, beginning with David Bednar, who was actually a faller last week, but since
We're
the
back.
couple of poor performances, yeah, he's back. David Bednar is back. Is it more of like a competition thing where, he's not going to lose this role, or do you see something different in the way that he's performed to give you more confidence in him?
Yeah, I think he's making it's only been 2 outings, but it looks like he's made the correct changes, which is that he's not throwing his curveball as much the last 2-3 times out.
Okay.
When he last pitched, he didn't throw it at all. He just went fastball splitter. And that might be a bit extreme. I think he can mix the curveball in, but he was throwing it too much. I don't think we can, I don't think he can throw it 30+% of the time like he had been. It's not a great, it's a loopy curveball that gets hammered when it's in the zone. It's just too vulnerable. So I think, fastball splitter is the way to go for him. Mixing the curveball here and there. And it's similar thing with like Camilo Duvall. It's like the same thing. He needs to stop throwing his slider as much because he leaves it in the zone. It gets hammered. So it's like the Raisel Iglesias thing from last year, right? Iglesias just stopped throwing his slider and he had an awesome second half. And I think that's kind of what these Yankees pitchers need to do. And it looks like Bednar's already taken that step. Actually, Duvall's last outing, he didn't throw a slider either. So I think they might be kind of trending that way, which is good to see for the Yankees. And I think Bednar will be fine. I think the fastball splitter are good enough on their own. I don't think like losing the curveball shouldn't hinder him too much, I think, but we'll see. The command, the walks might tick up a little bit, but I think ultimately he'll be fine. And
it's got to be more of a strike stealing pitch where it's surprising batters, but
that's what it was. But then I think he got like 2 and like hitters were just like jumping on it, or and I think it's just like you can't just like throw it over, just try to get it over and like miss middle. It's like hitters are starting to the books out on him with that as his. I think that was his highest zone pitch. I mean, it was like 54% in the zone. So maybe we just mix it up, maybe throw that outside of the zone, maybe go back to that as like a swing and miss pitch every now and then instead of the strike getter. Just keep hitters off. This again, like we talked about, or Bednar, Iglesias, those guys aren't overpowering like Mason Miller, where Miller he's like, I'm going to throw you a fastball or slider. Like, what's coming. Andrez Munoz, what's coming. But like Bednar and Iglesias, they just need to stay ahead of hitters. Like whatever the book is on them, they need to stay ahead of it. Once hitters figure out their trends, like you got to move to the next, whatever the next thing, like what, throw your splitter more, throw your fastball more, whatever it is, just always got to be ahead of the hitters. That's the guys who don't throw as hard as Mason Miller and, Munoz and Yohan Duran, those types.
Right. Speaking of Munoz, he's our next riser as he's had a pretty decent week. He recorded a save, his 9th of the year. The ERA is still up, but he's not walking as many guys. He's striking out a bunch of guys, 38%, 20% swing strike rate for Andrez Munoz. And did he just have an outing where he didn't throw any fastballs? Was that him?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And I think it's just having that, just like the fact that he can pull 99 on you at any time. That's but you still have to. The slider is the dominant pitch. Obviously, that's the devastating pitch from him. But I think the past month's been better from him. The thing, and I don't know, I love his changeup. He throws it like once or twice a game, but it's just really it's got a really good movement to it, and he's really hard time locating it or commanding it. He really can't throw it in the zone, and that's fine, but the way he uses it like once or twice against lefties, it's usually getting a swing and miss like almost once a game. So I think I don't know how long he can throw like 14 sliders in a row and get away with it, but it's working, and I just think the velocity was something that I was concerned about with him entering the year, and that hasn't been the issue. It's there. The fastball's there when he needs it. So I'm feel good about Munoz right now, where he's going, where he's trending.
All right. And the last riser is Caleb Kilian, who recorded his 3rd save of the season this past week for the Giants. I think it's pretty clear he's the closer for the Giants. He just hasn't had many opportunities because the Giants are terrible. And when they have Winn, it's usually because their lineup locks in for a night and goes off, but he just hasn't had many opportunities. He's been a bit up and down this year. That's probably because of the walk rate being over 13%, but I still like rostering Caleb Kilian in the majority of the leagues as long as he's continuing to get the bulk of the opportunities.
Yeah, it still seems like he is the guy. I mean, last week I had lumped him in with Jack Perkins and Ryan Zephyr-John, and there was only one of those guys standing
Bye-bye.
still. Yeah, there's one still left, and that's Kilian, who, the competition is Keaton Winn, who I don't the team doesn't really seem like they want him to close out games, and I understand because wins ratios are really good, but like he's not really getting a lot of swing and miss, and he's just not a ninth inning option. And Eric Miller's command is still hit or miss on a game to game basis, so it's hard to trust him in the ninth. So like by default, Kilian's kind of been the one guy who's been, even when he's inconsistent, it's not like it's never terrible. It's so I think he's the one guy that they can trust in the ninth for now. But yeah, we'll see how that. It's definitely going to be a week to week thing until we see him either pitch unbelievably well for like a couple weeks, or he just loses the role. So take it week by week with Kilian. But yeah, definitely trending in the right direction still compared to some of the other guys.
All right. And some honorable mentions from this past week. I know we had Grant Taylor on here for a second. He got a save this past week, which was intriguing. I spent some fab money on him and it did not pan out. He
the White Sox are
he pitched like the fifth inning on Sunday, and then he pitched he got a hold on Monday, but still seems to be Sir Anthony's job.
Yeah, I don't think the way that they're paying Sir Anthony, I don't think they're going to move on from him anytime soon. So Taylor, I don't know. I mean, I want to believe in Taylor. Like it makes sense for him to be the closer there, but teams don't always do the thing that makes sense. But even still, like the people who did pay for him, I wouldn't drop him quite yet. I don't know. It's 2 more Sir Anthony Dominguez blowups probably, and then we're talking about Grant Taylor, or they could go to Brian Hudson or Sean Newcomb. Who knows with this team? They've been weird with the bullpen all year, especially with Taylor. They either starting him or throwing him in the 5th inning. You got that true fireman role this weekend. So maybe that's what they want for him moving forward.
Right. Also, you had Daniel Lynch on there for a second too, and I'm in that same boat. I'm starting to key in on Daniel Lynch. I know we've both been naysayers about Lucas Erceg. He's not looked great this year. You've commented that, oh man, they lost Carlos Estevez, but they found him in Lucas Erceg because he's not been great this year. He's had a couple of terrible outings recently to bump his ERA over 5, and to be honest, there's no real great options in that bullpen outside of Daniel Lynch. They don't have any other lefties, so that's really the only thing working against Lynch. But if the Royals decide to make a move away from Lucas Erceg in the 9th inning, Daniel Lynch should be that top guy.
Yeah, I think that's the way that the Royals, I think, need to attack this is either if they want to have one sole closer, then I think you got to move to Lynch. If not, like you might as well just go the way of the Twins and the A's and the Nationals, and just because that bullpen's just so that bullpen's as bad as all those other bullpens. I mean, Lynch has looked good, but I don't know. The last month he's been very mediocre, above average at best, but like he's still their best option by far. I just they might not need to have a closer when you don't have like a real closer on your roster. Just that's the time when you should be going with a committee. So I don't know, but yeah, and he's their only like true lefty, so it's hard to pull Lynch off that middle relief setup role. But I don't know. Erceg's not cutting it, so they need to do something.
No, but the 2 real honorable mentions were Sam Bachman and Graham Ashcraft. I really like what Bachman's been doing recently. He looks like the best reliever in the Angels bullpen by far. Kirby Yates got a save opportunity as well. So they still haven't trusted Bachman in that role, but he's pitching the 8th inning most of the time. Like you said, Zephyr John fell this past week, and Yates hasn't done a lot to really establish himself yet. I like Bachman as the closer for the Angels, but I could see him sort of battling with Yates for that opportunity.
Yeah, I mean Yates, the splitter's still there for Kirby Yates. The fastball is just terrible, and
Yeah.
I don't know how he's going to be able to get away with it at 90 miles per hour. So far it's been, I mean, it reminds me like a lot of Jordan Romano. Just having some good success against some bad hitters early on, but I don't think it's going to last with Yates. So I think Bachman has been, he's the one issue with him like a month ago was his command. He's figured out the command. So I think, I don't know. There's really I don't think there's much to even talk about as far as who should be the closer there. I feel like Bachman's easily the answer by like a lot. And Zephyr John has really good stuff, but his command inconsistencies are maddening. You just can't have that in the 9th inning. So I think Bachman should get it. The one thing they don't like using him on back-to-back days, and because they like using him in multiple innings. So I don't know. It's kind of like when Jack Perkins was starting to take over the role in with the Athletics. It's kind of like that, where I don't know if they'll allow him to take over the role. So I don't know. As Bachman's still my I would take a chance on him over Taylor or Lynch at this point, just because that's still wide open. I don't know. I'm interested to see who gets the next Angels save chance, because I'm not sure that they really believe in Yates. The games Yates had pitched in the 9th, I don't think Bachman was available. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we will. And also Graham Ashcraft seems to be the front runner in that Reds bullpen, but every single time he's gotten an opportunity, it hasn't gone. So we'll see how the next one goes. But yeah, I have no faith in anybody there, but I do like Graham Ashcraft's stuff. And if he could just have one good save, if he could just have one 9th inning where he gets the job done, I could see the Reds just riding him until Pagan returns.
Yeah, I think he's going to get a third chance because the other options didn't work out. So, you rarely get a third chance and as a closer in this league and this role. And I don't know, but we'll see, because the other options, it's just you like narrow it down. I mean, it's not going to be Pierce Johnson, or I don't think it's going to be TJ Antone. I don't think it's going to be Santillan. Sam Mole versus Caleb. I mean, Brock Burke's been terrible lately too. So you got like Mole who's been pitching well, but I don't think that's the answer. Caleb Ferguson, who just came off the IL. So it kind of leaves, Ashcraft, who's looked good his last couple out. It's like every time he looks good, they finally give him a chance in the 9th, and then it doesn't work out. So I don't know. I'm Ashcraft's by far got the best stuff out of all the options there. I think if you're going to take a shot, it's got to be on him, because you can't trust Tony Santillan at this point. It's been so bad. So
I agree.
I just got to go with Ashcraft and hope for the best. I don't know.
Right. All right. Well, as those guys rise up the list, others need to fall to accommodate them. Our first faller is Riley O'Brien, who got off to an incredible start this year, but the regression has started hitting him. I think in the past couple of weeks, it's been terrible. Looks like since in the past month or so, he's had a 6.55 ERA. And after walking nobody in his first month of the season, he's walked 7.5% of batters. It's down to a 15% strikeout minus walk rate. So O'Brien went from being like this elite dominant sinker slider guy to more of a middling guy who's getting save opportunities, but he's not like a top 10 reliever like he was pitching.
Yeah. I think he's not as bad as he has been in the past month. He's not as good as he was the first month. He is like, where does numbers show right now? Like, that's probably realistically what Riley O'Brien is, with like a 3 ERA, a whip around 1, probably a little bit higher. That walk rate probably continues to go up, but he's a solid reliever. He's a fine closer. He's just not the guy we expected or we were seeing in the first month. He went like almost 20 something days without allowing a run or a walk, and then since then it's been 6.55 ERA, whips up to 1.64. So it's been rough. I still think he holds on to the role there. The only competition is Jojo Romero, who's also like the only lefty that they can trust there. So I feel like they would prefer to continue with O'Brien and Romero in the roles that they have, unless O'Brien really just implodes this week, and then they might have to go to Romero.
Right. All right. And then a guy who was a riser last week, but's a faller this week is Kenley Jensen, who had a big blown save against the Orioles, allowing Colton Cowser to hit a walk-off three-run home run against him. But it wasn't just the home run. You gotta put runners on base to create that opportunity. He lost his control, walked a couple batters, but Jensen hasn't looked particularly strong this year with an ERA over 5.
Yeah, I think it's, I thought he was turning the corner, and again, there's no competition there, so that's good. Like, I mean, I thought Vest was going to be competition. Maybe not after tonight. So the thing, that Jansen out in the other day, it was obviously leading up to the Cowser at bat was bad, but the whole Cowser at bat was so weird too. I don't know if you saw, it was an 0-2 sinker he threw middle to Cowser.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
No, and then he hit a walk-up homer the next day too.
Okay, yeah,
crazy.
I don't know. The pitch selection was bad. The pitch, the location was bad where Jansen threw it. It was just a mess. And yeah, I guess at this, this is kind of what at his age, he's not as dominant as he used to be, and he'll have these meltdowns from time to time. And the command does still go. He doesn't have the best command at this point either. So just more volatile than I think we would hope for. And while it is good that he doesn't have competition with Finnegan and Vest pitching so poorly, I don't know how they're going to get the ball to him in the 9th now with those guys pitching so poorly. So that's another thing to worry about. So
right.
Yeah, that bullpen is really, really hurting right now.
And our last faller is Lucas Erceg. We sort of touched on him, spoiled it a little bit. Do you have anything more to add to Lucas Erceg?
No, it's time. I just like it's not working. And I know he got some bad luck the other night, but it was just or the other day. But that's gonna happen with guys like him who don't have bat missing ability. And the one good thing for him is that, again, there's no competition there outside of Daniel Lynch, who we don't know if that's a guy that they would even consider in the closer role. So
right.
He's got no competition for now, and I mean, I'm not expecting Carlos Estevez back this year or anytime soon, at least. So I don't know. Well, he might be able to hold on to it, but I don't want any part of Lucas Erceg moving forward.
Me neither. That'll do it for our 3 up, 3 down section. To recap, we had David Bednar, Andrez Munoz, and Caleb Kilian rising, and our fallers were Riley O'Brien, Kenley Jensen, and Lucas Erceg. Next, we'll head into our main topic and talk about some of the best swing and miss arms in baseball. But first, we're going to take a quick break here on In the Pen. And we're back. Jake Crumpler here with Rick Graham on In the Pen discussing relief pitchers. Let's talk about some of the best whiff guys in baseball. We've got a table sorted by strikeout rate. We got one sorted by swinging strike rate. So we'll get a lot of the guys that are going to have the best strikeout ability in baseball. The names are, the top names. When you look at the strikeout rate leaderboard, Mason Miller atop, Erik Sabrowski, Yohan Duran, Andrez Munoz, Pete Fairbanks is up there, which is promising. Jeff Hoffman, we've talked about so much this year. It's hard to come up with anything new there. Louis Varland's been incredible. Cade Smith, Grant Taylor is very exciting, but we just don't know if he'll ever have a role that makes him worthwhile in save and holds leagues. Raisel Iglesias has looked great. Aroldis Chapman. Alex Vesia is one of those underrated relievers who's good every single year, but never gets that true closer role. But the first guy that becomes notable on the strikeout rate leaderboard is Eric Miller with a 33% strikeout rate and an 11% swinging strike rate. He has been the top lefty for the Giants for a few years now. He was injured most of last year, but this year he's getting a couple save opportunities, but clearly got some strikeout potential there. I think it's going to come down based on that.
Swing strike rate is low. Yeah.
Right. 11% for a 33% strikeout rate says that it will come down, but still promising to see Eric Miller get strikeouts, because last year he really fell in that department.
He had he had 17%. He has the same walk rate. He's got a bad walk rate again, but at least the strikeout rate is up. So yeah, I mean, his stuff, he's from big guy from the left side who throws like 97, 98. Yeah, there should be some strikeout stuff in there. Just the command again, just with him. That walk rate's always been bad, but if we can just bring it down closer to 10%, that would do a lot to help with his whip and just overall ratio help. So yeah, I mean, Miller, big time stuff from the left side and a bullpen that doesn't have a ton of stuff in to work with. So yeah, definitely someone who I wouldn't write out completely from the closer role. I mean, especially if they mix and match still in San Francisco, Miller's the top lefty there for me.
All right. Moving down the list, we have a couple of notable lefties that we both like, but aren't we don't need to expound on them. Aaron Ashby, Dylan Lee. We got a couple closers for the Orioles, Ryan Helsley and Rico Garcia. We got Tanner Scott and Devin Williams as we continue to move down the list. Then we run into Justin Slaten, who has never really been a huge strikeout guy. We saw a 26% rate in his debut season last year, down to 18%. But this year, Justin Slaten's up to 32.4% on a strikeout rate. However, the swinging strike rate is down from the previous 2 years. So I don't think this is very believable as well.
Small sample, inflated. He also, didn't look great the other night. I don't know if he pitched today, but stuff was back down. I worry about him being able to stay healthy for a long period of time. He's just always dealing with something. But when he's healthy, when he's throwing 97 plus, he's pretty electric. He's definitely one of the better seventh inning guys or secondary setup guys, if you have Whitlock and Chapman in front of him. So Slaten can be really good. It's just keeping him healthy, keeping the stuff consistent. But yeah, the swing and strike rate is a little bit low. He is usually a better swing and strike rate guy than that. But again, he's only pitched 8.2 innings this year. So we got some time.
All right. Next, right after Justin Slaten, we've got Grant Wolfram, who we touched on earlier in the podcast. He just returned from the injured list. He should be the top left-handed option in the Orioles bullpen, and he's striking out 32.3% of the batters he's faced, and maybe even more impressively, sub 2% walk rate. So that gives him one of the best strikeout minus walk rates in baseball. Wolfram has a 91st percentile PLV sinker and a 98th percentile PLV curveball, making him deadly against both lefties and righties.
Yeah, I think he's got a top four that K minus walk rates, top four amongst relievers. I believe only in front of him it was like obviously Mason Miller, Cade Smith might have been one. Yeah, Cade Smith. I forget. Yohan Duran, Erik Sabrowski. Yeah, so he's in like really good category. There with that K minus walk rate. And the ratios are high, but that's really bad BABIP luck so far. And yeah, the stuff is legit like that. That like you said, like the pitch mix is there for him to really take a step forward and hopefully get some better BABIP luck. And then we'll see those ratios come down. He should be the top lefty in Baltimore. And honestly, like the way Garcia's in the setup role, I know they love Anthony Nunez, but he's been struggling. Like I could see a 7th or 8th inning role open up for Grant Wolfram right now.
All right, moving down the list, we got Kenley Jensen at 32% alongside Gregory Soto. Both of those guys have gotten saves this year, but they've been in sort of different categories based on their performance. Fernando Cruz has always been a high strikeout guy. He pitches for the Yankees. Kyle Hurt has sort of come out of nowhere, but we've dove into him in the past couple of podcasts as well. So we'll talk about Mason Fluharty, who's been not necessarily the top lefty in the AL East, but definitely the top lefty for the Toronto Blue Jays. The results don't really show it, 4.74 ERA, but he's got a strikeout rate north of 30%, and he's looked pretty decent this year, and the swinging strike rate supports it as well at 15% over on Pitcher List.
Yeah, I mean, again, very similar to Wolfram, where just bad BABIP luck is like the only thing that I can see from Fluharty. Mm-hmm. He's similar stuff to last year, actually better than last year. And he was he was the Jays' trusted left-handed reliever in the postseason. So I think Fluharty is starting to get that trust again. I know it's been inconsistent with those ratios, but the swing and miss stuff's legit from him. It's a very different. He's kind of like a left-handed Phil Maton, but I think the stuff's even better from him from the left side, where he's this 90 mile per hour cutter up in the zone and the sweeper to play off of it. So really like what Fluharty can do. I think he's going to have a good second half for them.
All right. We'll keep moving down the list. Some of the guys that are above 30%, Garrett Clevenger, Garrett Whitlock, Mason Montgomery. And then we get to a couple of Guardians relievers who are sort of newcomers. Yeah, Sean Armstrong and Colin Holderman. Armstrong was a little bit of a breakout for the Rangers last year. He had a 26% strikeout rate, but he's got it all the way up to 30% this year. He is walking twice as many batters without the corresponding whiff increase, which is sort of telling with the sustainability of that 30% strikeout rate, whereas Holderman seems more sustainable. 13% swinging strike rate. I don't think he's going to be a 30% guy moving forward in the strikeout rate department, but he's looked much better this year, throwing more strikes than ever. His walk rate's down to 7%. So Holderman seems a little bit more sustainable, but to see both of these guys over 30%, Armstrong and Holderman, is pretty cool for the Guardians.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely I'm sold on Holderman to the point. I don't think he's like going to be an elite reliever, but I think there's no reason to think he can't be a very good, solid reliever, secondary setup guy for the Guardians. I think that strikeout rate probably comes down a little bit, but the ratios aren't going to. I don't think they're going to skyrocket. I think he's going to be a solid ratio play with decent strikeouts and he should start getting a bunch of holds now with Sabrowski out, and even when Sabrowski returns, I think there's a real chance Holderman ends up being that third setup guy for them, or maybe even I mean, who knows with Hunter Gaddis? He's been all over the place this year, so Gaddis could fall out, and Holderman could be the top right-handed setup guy there eventually. So yeah, definitely just moving up the ranks quickly, and hopefully he can start living up to his last name as the Holderman.
All right. The last guy we'll talk about on this list is Evan Sisk, who has a 29.5% strikeout rate. He's sort of broken out for the Pirates this year, 1.61 ERA, 1.03 whip, striking out a lot of guys. The swinging strike rate doesn't fully support that at 10.5%, but he's been very solid this year in what is a surprising breakout for a guy that we never really talked about before, Evan Sisk.
Yeah, and he's from the left side. He doesn't throw hard, but he's got some funk to him where he throws from a low 3/4, maybe sidearm, arm angle. So sinker, curveball, sweeper guy, and just really he showed some promise last year. I think we were a little bit intrigued by him, but yeah, this right was not expecting the strikeout rate to be like it is this year. Probably doesn't stay that high. Probably comes down to like 25%, but even still, that's great from him if we're getting these good ratios. He's not walking guys, and yeah, he doesn't have. The thing is, I don't know if he's going to get holds. Being the third lefty in that bullpen, that's the only downfall. But yeah, he's legit. He's not like just a flash in the pan lefty.
All right, that's Evan Sisk. Now we'll go over to the swinging strike rate leaderboard, and you got the typical names at the top: Mason Miller, Dylan Lee, Andrez Munoz, Kyle Hurt again. There we go. Adrian Morahone, who should be improving his results shortly. Jeff Hoffman again, obviously. The guy just cannot catch a break, but he did get a couple saves this past week. Raisel Iglesias, and then we get to Yuki Matsui, who's a very surprising one. He's a Japanese lefty on the Padres, and he was never really, he was great, pretty solid. He was pretty great in his debut season last year. It did not go as well as the strikeouts came down and the walks came up, but in a small sample this year, 12 innings, he's yet to allow a run. He is getting a ton of whiffs, where over at Pitcher List, we're looking at a 19.4% swinging strike rate. That's led to a 28% strikeout rate. And it's weird because he doesn't throw hard. We're talking sub 92 on the four-seamer, but his splitter locations have been incredible this year, leading to a 35% swinging strike rate on the splitter.
Wow, yeah, the splitter is getting all the most of the swinging strike rate. The slider too has definitely been a little bit of more of a swinging strike pitch for him as well. So, and the fastball, he doesn't throw hard, but he has really good IVB on it. He gets vert, and he's been locating the fastball pretty well, which has been kind of an issue with him. And I know that's coming over. I think he was one of the guys who maybe talked about it too, like the change in the ball. Leading to some bad command issues his first couple years here. But yeah, he's been great so far this year. Walk rate is still a little high, but it's just good to see the swing and miss from him. And like that's like they don't need another left. They don't even need any other relief help or help in that bullpen. But if they can get Matsui to be like a legit option too, I mean, that's just icing on the cake for that Padres bullpen, who apparently they also want to add Aroldis Chapman or Josh Hader. So I don't know what they just want a super bullpen. Isn't that didn't some team talk about a super bullpen this year? I think it was the Red Sox but yeah,
they missed that.
They did not, that did not work out.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Padres, having Matsui is just, I don't think they were expecting anything really from him, but so far 12 innings, he's looked awesome.
I don't know why they just keep going for the relievers. Maybe they value them differently and they see that maybe it impacts the team a lot more in the postseason than getting a better bat or a better starter. But the rotation is not pretty right now. I mean, behind Michael King, it's a few of, pretty mediocre guys like Griffin Canning, Randy Vasquez, Walker Buehler, Lucas Giolito, and the lineup is struggling, especially with Fernando Tatis Jr. failing to hit a homer. So it's I don't know why they wouldn't
remind me.
Focus on something else. Yeah, well, I drafted him first in a couple leagues as well, so I'm right there with you. Let's move down the swinging strike rate leaderboard. Tanner Scott, Rico Garcia, Cade Smith, Devin Williams, Ryan Helsley, guys like Fernando Cruz, Daniel Palencia, Daniel Lynch is on here again, and Brian Baker. And then we get to another surprise name, Mitchell Parker, who's transitioned from the rotation to the bullpen. We have not really seen a corresponding fastball velocity increase, just 0.5 mile per hour, but he's finding a ton of whiffs this year, 17% swing strike rate, according to Pitcher List. The strikeout rate has not corresponded. It's still at 20%, but there's certainly potential there, especially if the Nationals are willing to use him in high leverage, like we saw today when he recorded a 3-inning save.
There's a huge pitch mix change with him,
right?
More so than a lot of guys, where he's throwing a slider 56% of the time. And yeah, that makes sense when you're now a reliever. You can do that. You can just, lean on your secondary or I guess now your primary, but like lean on your off speed stuff. And that's definitely Parker's, bread and butter there, the slider. So yeah, looking, throwing that thing 56% of the time with a 22% swing strike rate, it's pretty elite company. So yeah, the slider's good, and just mix in the fastball every now and then just to keep hitters, on their toes. That's really all he needs to do. And he's got a curveball too. That's not terrible.
All right. And I think the last guy we'll cover is Scott Barlow. He got a save this past week for the A's as they are going back to the closer committee. And right now he's not really sort of put in there as the closer committee on roster resource, but maybe he should be. I mean, we haven't really seen a lot of upside from Scott Barlow throughout his career. He has been a closer in the past for the Royals, but 16% swinging strike rate this year suggests he could be a 30% strikeout rate guy. He's walking fewer batters than he has in the past few years. The strikeout rate is lower than ever though, but that should start climbing, especially if he can figure out the pitch mix that allows him to get to those whiffs more often. And I think that means throwing the curveball more.
I mean, that's the thing, is his fastballs are so bad at this point. Like, and he's leaning on the sweeper and curveball. He's throwing it, 68% of the time, those two pitches. And then throw the slider in there. He's throwing his breakers over 70% of the time. So that's I think my concern with him being a closer is just like, are the fastballs going to be okay enough for him to survive? Especially, and I know he's been fine against lefties this year, but like I just worry about him against lefties, like good lefties in the 9th inning. With not having everything breaks one way, and he, except for the sinker, which is his worst pitch, and like it's, I think that's why they're kind of shying away from him as the closer. But when you have 3 righties up in the 9th inning, sure, why not go to Barlow? That's very right-handed, matchup-oriented option for them. Yeah, I think we're back to like the veterans there as in the closer committee with Barlow and like Mark Leiter being the 9th inning guys, which isn't fun. We're back, to the boring veteran guys, but Jack Perkins looked good. Jack Perkins looked good the other night, throwing 5 innings and 63 pitches. So maybe maybe he ends up back in the rotation. I don't know.
We'll see. Yeah, that means somebody else will have to go. We'll see who that is. But yeah, those are some under the radar swing and miss names. We talked about Eric Miller, Justin Slaten, Grant Wolfram, Mason Fluharty, Sean Armstrong, Colin Holderman, Evan Sisk, Yuki Matsui, Mitchell Parker, and Scott Barlow. There's plenty of other names as well that we didn't really get to touch on. And obviously there's all the leaders on those leaderboards as well. But we talk about those guys every single podcast. So we'll let the under the radar guys shine here today. But that'll do it for this episode of the In the Pen podcast. Rick, why don't you go ahead and plug your socials and anything else you're working on?
Yeah, you can find me at I am Rick Graham. I'm pretty much every social, working on weekly article, comes out every Tuesday with all the holds, saves, save plus holds rankings, and then daily doing the doing RP streamer, RP roundup each day. Just plugging away at that. I will say just 3 more names because I'm looking at it and they're just really interesting names.
Go ahead.
Jacob Webb, who's been like awesome the last couple. I think we talked about him last week, but he's been awesome recently. Then 2 very under the radar names. We talked about Giovanni Moran. He's been sneaky good for the Red Sox. Also Shane Drohan, former Red Sox. Drohan's been awesome for the Brewers. I don't know what his role is going to be with like Ashby and the other lefties they have there, but I think Drohan is someone to keep an eye on in deeper leagues.
Don't mess with the Drohan.
Yeah, that's my thought. I wish I should make RP roundup headlines like Nick does or you now do, but yeah, I'm not as creative as you guys, unfortunately.
I'm sure you could figure it out. If you had that one, then I think you could do it. It's not too hard. It's just puns. But yeah, you can follow the pod at In the Pen Pod. You can follow me at Jake Crumpler. You can find all of my work at crumplerbaseball.com. I do some playing time analysis for Baseball HQ, and I do the 4 days a week of the First Pitch podcast, and then I'm doing some weekend SP roundup. So you can find a lot of my work over at pitcherlist.com. But that'll do it with this episode number 162 of the In the Pen podcast. We'll talk to you all next week.